Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Leveraging LinkedIn, a New Perspective. My name is Sarah Gonzalez and I'll be your facilitator for today's session. So today is all about getting to know one of the most popular social media sites, LinkedIn. And we've probably all been part of it at one stage or another, or probably even now, but are we leveraging it as much as we could be? I would now like to welcome our presenter today, Matthew Graves. Now Matthew is the founder and director of Perspective Promotions, and he is going to give us all his knowledge and insights into the wonderful world of LinkedIn. How are you today, Matthew?
I'm great, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for the introduction.
Great. Now, before we get started, I believe we have a pre-question which came through from Rob. So we're just going to get to that first of all. So Rob is the manager of events at the Pharmacy Guild of Australia, and he runs 2 events annually. Now he's recognised that this may be the vehicle to reach an audience that proves to be a challenge, so really owners and proprietors of pharmacies. So he would like to be able to upload his event logos to his LinkedIn profile and was wondering whether that was possible. And also a second part to the question, he'd like some tips on sending a message to all of his contacts regarding his events. So what's the best way to achieve tips on creating this?
So, great question, Rob. Thanks very much. And yes, of course, you can upload images and event details to your LinkedIn profile. Now, the easiest way to do this is simply through a post. Now, in a post, you can attach all kinds of media, including videos, images, links, and of course, text as well. And it's the best way to share a message with your audience and any of your connections in LinkedIn. Okay, the second part of the question, I'll touch base a little bit later because there are some alternative strategies to help promote different events and brands on LinkedIn. So shall we start, Sarah? Wonderful, yeah. Let's go ahead. So today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. What makes LinkedIn different from other social networks? And of course, what is a social network? So a social network is an online networking tool helping people connect. Before we get confused and overwhelmed with all the dynamics and features of this kind of social network, I need to express that the simplicity behind LinkedIn is just as simple as your friends in a local area. It's just an extension of your local relationships into the digital world. Now, it's not too complicated. It's just another way of interacting. So today we're going to be running through how to join LinkedIn and a few different functions, how to market a business, marketing an individual, and also a few different lead generation strategies, recruitment strategies, and just information searching and sharing. We've also got a few sneaky polls, as Sarah mentioned, and some tips and tricks to help you optimize the use of LinkedIn. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so moving on. So let's ask why. In today's world, many people rely on technology to organize their lives and their time. This has led to the birth of social media, the use of online technology to interact and be social. Okay, so a lot of you may have noticed a digital shift in the way that we run our lives with Google Calendars, task managers and smartphones. It's becoming a fairly strong influence in the way we run our lives and the decisions that we make. Now, LinkedIn and other social networks like Twitter and Facebook are just tools. They're channels for communication, allowing us to share information, share ideas, and inspire new ideas as well. Okay, so let's take a closer look and find out how we can be using LinkedIn to benefit our professional lives. Okay, so where are we? Next one. Now, we've got a poll.
Great, so we've got a poll. Okay, we just want to get to know the audience a little bit better before we get into the nuts and bolts of the presentation. So the first poll, which is now going to be coming up on your screen, is what about LinkedIn interests you most? So is it networking and being social? Is it brand marketing and lead generation? Maybe it's job searching and recruitment that you're mainly interested in, or is it information? And we can then see those results coming through live, and then Matthew can help structure and tailor the content as we move through. So we can see quite a large percentage, or probably around 1 and 2, so the whole networking and social element, as well as brand marketing and lead generation. So we'll definitely be covering that off in today's presentation, won't we?
Absolutely, and I mean, this is no surprise. We've got about 52% of people who are interested in using LinkedIn for brand marketing and lead generation. Now, here comes the first LinkedIn tip. You're not going to be happy. Unfortunately, social networking and LinkedIn aren't going to make the phones ring. It's not an advertising tool. Now, the most effective results come from genuine conversation and sharing your ideas to inspire people to ask questions. Now, a lot of people will join LinkedIn, and what they'll do is start spamming, sending advertisements, talking about their services and what makes them special. Now, this can work, but there has to be a balance between information sharing and a little bit of brand awareness as well. So if I start seeing lots of advertisements come through on my LinkedIn feed, I'm not going to be too impressed. It's not going to prompt me to click it. It's not going to prompt me to go and find out more. What will prompt that kind of behavior is sharing information. Tell me why I need those services. Explain what makes that unique and how it's going to make my life easier or more beneficial. I mean, these are the kinds of things that people are talking about on LinkedIn, sharing their knowledge to explain what is the competitive edge of your brand or business. Now, this is the same if you're marketing a personal profile as well. Maybe a real estate agent might explain their unique approach to selling and transacting property. But we'll get into this a little bit later. So the first things we're going to look at is how to build a profile. Now, these are fairly simple steps, but through this process, we're going to explain for the people with a basic knowledge of LinkedIn how they can get themselves set up, but along the way, to talk about a few of the advanced features of LinkedIn and explain how you can best optimize that for your own personal benefit. So moving on, we've got a quick slide of the join screen. If you haven't seen this already, linkedin.com, this is where you can start a profile. Quite simply, put in your details, you receive a confirmation email, and this is the beginning. Now, let's have a look at our blank canvas. This is what we'll see when we've first got our profile. It's fairly empty, it's not telling us much, it's not doing much at all, okay? The best way to fill it up and get that little profile meter up to expert is just to go through a few of these prompts. So you can see on the side here, we've got a few numbers 1 to 5. I've just taken a few screenshots here. This is essentially just what we're looking at. We want to have a look at a few different things that will help us build a profile and make it work most effective for us. So LinkedIn's going to prompt us for our experience. It's going to ask us where have we studied, what's our education. It's going to ask us for a photo, which is much more important than most people think. It's going to ask us about our skills and a few details about ourselves, okay? Now, all of these contribute to the lead generation, the recruitment side, the information sharing, or all the different points that we've listed before. It's essential that you fill in each of these categories to maximize the kinds of result that you're receiving through LinkedIn. So I've put together a bit of a default profile, and here's Wally. So let's have a bit of a look at what LinkedIn can allow us to do. So we've got a profile photo. We know who we are. If we have a look, LinkedIn also allows us to upload files, images, and documents. Now, you might have written a paper, you might have a university essay, you might have some images or anything like that. This is your place to showcase who you are and what you have to offer to your audience. Might be a product, might be a service, it might be the fact that you're unemployed and you're looking for a job. You are now available, and this is your opportunity to show off everything that you can give to your audience.
Just on that, setting up your profile there, Matthew, summary. A lot of people talk about the summary part of their LinkedIn profile, and obviously that's an important part because it's a summary. Would you recommend the summary be about you personally, in your personal brand, or would you recommend that it's about your company and what your achievements are or what you do?
That's a really fantastic question. Thanks, Sarah. At the end of the day, it really depends on what you're using LinkedIn for. So Are you looking for a job? Are you trying to build business connections? Are you looking for candidates? Maybe you're a recruiter or something like that. In my opinion, the summary should best reflect your intentions for LinkedIn. What are you doing on there? Explain that. You might want to talk about a few of your side projects or past projects. Because LinkedIn is a digital tool, we use summaries and different features like this to help express who we are in terms of our personality. Otherwise, we're just a little square on the screen. So we want to get away from that. Try and, if you've got a sense of humour, try and express that. Show people your casual side and your professional side. Show them who you really are. Give them a reason to want to connect you, for lack of a better word.
But
So,
maybe not your RSVP profile or something like
oh
that.
no, that's a separate thing. So while on that is a fantastic little comment, because as we know, there are a range of different social networks. Exactly what Sarah just said means that there are a range of different social networks for a range of different users. So this comes down to context. On Facebook, I might talk about what I got up to on the weekend, a few plans with some friends, or just throw around a few funny pictures and ideas. When it comes to LinkedIn, the context changes dramatically. I won't be talking about any of those kinds of ideas as much of an interest that I have in what I post in Facebook. What I post on LinkedIn will be very focused on my business perspective promotions, about marketing, social media, different strategies that I've picked up along the way, maybe different opportunities, seminars, or fantastic webinars like we've got today. So it all comes down to context. Remember, who is your audience and what kind of information are they expecting from you? And that's the best way to kind of identify what's suitable content to be posting on different social networks. Definitely not your RSVP profile, that's for
Got
sure.
it.
So let's move on. Connecting with people. This is basic number one. If you're on LinkedIn, you're on there to be social in one way or another, and to do that, you need to grow your audience. Now, once you've established your profile, it's time to begin connecting. Let's go through this process of making a new connection. So from the home screen, you'll see a search bar up the top. Okay, in here you just type in the name of the person you're looking for. You can also type in a company, a location. There's more defined and refined searches you can do as well. Now up there we've typed in Matthew Graves. You can actually see there's a few of us. I'm the one up the top with the nice cool sunnies, hard to miss. Now let's touch on that quickly. I've chosen a fairly casual picture for my professional profile. The reason I've done this is, yes, it might be a little bit unorthodox, but it stands out. People come up to me, and I've never met them before, and they say, oh, I've seen you on LinkedIn. You're the guy with the big sunnies with the water in the background. So this is something that I will do to help them remember me, okay? We have to remember that social networking isn't going to make you famous, yeah? But if we all go to networking events with different chambers of commerce and things like that, using this tool can help increase the span of your network. Okay, so for example, I might go to a networking event and collect something like 15 or 20 business cards. Okay, rather than send a cheesy little email, nice to meet you last Wednesday, let's catch up for coffee, I'll just add them on LinkedIn. Okay, they get a little email anyway, they get a little prompt, they remember, hey, that's that guy that does social media. So this is my way of staying engaged with my audience by making sure that I'm constantly in touch with my leads. Maybe not talking to them on the phone or sending them an email, but they see me on a daily basis. When they see my posts, they see what I'm talking about, and I'm sharing my ideas, sharing my information to help benefit them in their own personal strategies. Now, this is the start of one of my main lead generation strategies, because this allows us to stay in touch on a regular basis, remind your potential leads that you still exist, and remind them of what you've got to offer. Alrighty, so moving on, back to connecting, we've got a little button on the right, just click connect. Okay, and the next thing LinkedIn will do, it puts up a little bit of a filter. It wants to make sure that you know this person. This is to try and stop all the spamming and just adding half of LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't want you to do that. So they're going to ask you, how do you know this person? Is it through school? Is it through business? Is it some other reason? Now, a little tip or trick, I guess, that this is no big deal. If you've heard of someone or you've met them briefly, I think it's quite all right to say, yes, we've done business together, or yes, we're colleagues or business professionals or something like that. You may not have necessarily met them, but this is an opportunity to connect with this person. As long as it's relevant, that's really what it comes down to. Just make sure that this person either lives in the local area or you're working in a similar industry. You need a common interest. I guess my point is, if I'm receiving friend requests from over in Romania and India, I'm going to hesitate to click the accept button. But if I see it's someone in Sydney and they're part of a chamber or networking group that I'm familiar with, this is someone that I want to connect with. Even if I'm not too interested in learning about them, who knows who's in their extended network? Okay, every connection provides the possibility of extended exposure, more engagement, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. Moving on. Okay, so we've selected a few things. We've identified, yes, I know this person, and here's the confirmation. So yes, Wally and I are now friends. This is great. So you'll get a bit of a confirmation, and there we go. We're on our way to building our audience. Alrighty, what do you think, Sarah? Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think I just want to go back when you are connected with somebody, and I think I'll just go back to this slide because I'm learning a lot on this webinar as well. So you've got, the include a personal notes section. Would you recommend using this default template here, or would you recommend usually making it a little bit personal when you're actually reaching out to somebody?
There's nothing wrong with personalizing it. Although a lot of us are really busy. I don't read any of the personal messages. I don't type any of the personal messages. I'm more interested in accepting the friend requests and having a sticky beak on their profile. I want to find out who they are. I'm not too interested in that kind of thing. While saying that, I guess it's just personal preference, But hey, I might start doing that now, so see what it might do. But yeah, good question. So, moving on.
Okay, we've got another poll.
We do have another poll.
So I'm just going to launch the second poll, and I'm conscious of the fact that Patrick has just put a question through, and we're actually moving into company content shortly, aren't we, Matthew? So we might just hold that off.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And we'll just get to number 2. So this is all about groups. So how many groups are you currently following on LinkedIn? So perhaps you're following none. Perhaps it's around 1 to 5. Perhaps it's 6 to 10. 10 plus, which means you're probably highly connected, or maybe some of you have no idea what a group is, and you'll get some interesting insights in the next section. So what do you usually see when you ask this question? Do people usually know what a group is or what the functionality of a group is, Matthew?
People are aware that groups exist, although what we're going to go into is a few different types of groups. So just briefly, we do have private groups, invite-only groups, and public groups. This can confuse some people, although essentially the concept is the same. Basically, groups are already generated audiences, so it saves you from trying to build your own audience with a specific interest. Groups are people who are already connected. There's a platform where you can reach the entire group with a post, and there's obviously at least one shared common interest. Now this is really important because it means that you can engage the whole group on a single topic. This is a little bit harder when you're posting to your own direct audience because everyone's going to be different. I mean, you might have a common interest with a role or a certain discipline of study with some of your network. Other parts might be completely different. They might be candidates or clients, that they might be past employers or potential employers. I mean, you have such a mix in your own audience, and groups allows you to find a set audience already developed that you can not only pitch to and teach, but you can also learn a lot of information through the kinds of content that's posted on groups as well. Alrighty,
so we see like around, we've got what, 30% and 44%. So most of the people online are around members of 1 to 10 groups. So we've got people who understand what they are.
That's perfect.
But yeah, it's a good indication. let's move on.
You can never have too many groups, so there are always new ones coming up. I mean, you'll find something that's a little bit different. So something may be new or popped up. You might get an industry leader, which are always good to follow. The Microsofts, the Apples, Googles, all those kinds of things. Get involved because they're the first ones that are going to be sharing content not only on their industry and on their company, but also about what's happening in their local area and things like that as well. So just continue to build that network, and that's going to come up in your home feed as well. Alrighty, so let's go through joining a group. Of course, most people are fairly familiar with this, but we'll go through just quickly. So I've typed in Redback at the top there, and we can see a nice pretty photo of Sarah. That's because we're currently in default to search for profiles. Okay, so if you can see on the left there, we've got a bit of a list. We've got profile, company, jobs, groups. If we want to click groups, we can then see all the groups with the term Redback in there. So here we go, and we've got it just there, number 3 as well. Okay, so this little sidebar, which I'll come back to later on, this is the main way we can navigate through our searches, navigating whether we're searching for people, jobs, or groups, or companies. Okay, so moving on. This is what it looks like. You see a little yellow button on the right-hand corner. Click join. A lot of you are already familiar with that. Let's jump into the kind of content that you're expecting to see on groups. So the next slide I've got here, I've just taken a bit of a screenshot of 2 posts. So in this Redback group, we can see that there's been a post by 2 completely different people. Now, this means that the group is open, but it is moderated. So there are only certain people that can post in this kind of group. However, the public can comment and like and share the information to their own network as well. Okay, so this would be ideal for the kind of people that are interested in the changes of technology, in internet communications, in webinars, people that are interested to know what Redback's doing as an organisation and what's new and updated events and things like that. So I've already joined, that's great. Wonderful. And coming up next, I think we have another poll, don't we, Sarah?
Yeah, just before we get to that, we've got a question from Christina. So can you, I don't think this was part of the presentation, but in terms of how to set up a group, she said that as a membership body, it's important to set up a group for members to exchange ideas. But is it difficult to set up a group? Do you need to be, someone who's regularly on LinkedIn to have permission to set up a group? How does it all work?
So anyone can do this. For someone who hasn't done it before, it may be a little bit time consuming. It really depends how techy you are. But the short answer is yes, you can set up a group. You should be doing a private group that any of the members can post in and share ideas. This kind of thing is common with chamber groups, different BNI groups, and different networking groups and things like that as well. But you're absolutely right. There's no better feature of LinkedIn to be using for your membership body to be sharing ideas and passing things along. It's a great way to not only share thoughts and things like that, but if you're browsing the web and you find an article, you might want to share it with someone. You might want to just remind yourself later and just post it in that group, and then hang on, that thing's there, I want to check that out when I've got a spare 10 minutes or something like that. So fantastic. I'm really impressed to see people are looking for these additional kinds of opportunities to help communicate with their other colleagues and their other connections. But yeah, I guess if you do have any questions, LinkedIn does have a help and support section. So if you type in there, you might even be able to send an email and ask for a quick guide. YouTube is also full of a ton of resources to guide you through different ways to set up these kinds of groups and company pages, which we're about to touch on as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And also, would you recommend having a company page first before a group, or can anyone just go set up a group? What's the best practice around that?
A lot of people will start groups without having a company page. So essentially the main reason for a group is not to represent a brand, but to establish a communication channel between a set of individuals. So having a group may not allow your business or brand to expose different ideas about the company and different promotions and things like that. That's more company pages, which is our next segment. Groups are more specific for, I guess, creating a place where there's a strong common interest to share ideas, to give people updates and things like that. The problem with a group is, for example, I log into LinkedIn as Matthew Graves, and then I also have a company page for Perspective Promotions. If I create a group under Perspective Promotions, I can't speak from the brand. Okay, so Matthew Graves can go and make posts, but the brand Perspective Promotions can't go and represent itself on the group. This is one of the major downfalls when it comes to brand awareness and marketing through LinkedIn, which is mostly done through company pages and personal profiles. At the end of the day, the groups are mainly just a platform and channel for people to exchange ideas.
I think that really goes back to, Christina, what you're saying as a membership body, creating that sort of community even before, during or after an event that you may be holding, and also a great place to, have your members come online or your customer base and form something niche and special even for those people who want to be part of it.
Yeah,
Hey?
absolutely. Because there's a team environment there, a group in this instance is perfect to exchange ideas. But I have a strong feeling that most of you want to know, how can I make money from LinkedIn? I'm sure that's the burning question in everyone's mind. And the key little trick is the company page. So let's go and dive into that, eh? And we've got this
Great.
poll first.
Yeah, so as you've probably guessed, this poll is actually about company pages. So just a quick question to get everyone thinking about this. So does your brand have a company page? And many of you may not even be aware of this. So we can see the results coming through now with a lot of people actually saying yes. It comes looking quite even though, the split, but then a few people they're always saying no.
I'll just make a
They're
quick
not sure.
note. I have written your brand, although this could represent the brand you work for, the brand you're employed in. You may not be a business owner. Well, I guess what I'm really interested in is what percentage of our audience are currently aware of brand representation on LinkedIn, which is very important. So I guess there's a heavy yes. We've got about 58%, which is great. I guess the next question is to try and find out, is this company page active? Now, we don't need a poll for that, but let me tell you how. If you haven't established an active company page, if it's just a bit of a billboard that's not doing much, let's dive into to talking about a few different ways we can market the brand, generate some exposure and awareness. So we've got here, without getting too technical, companies can be on LinkedIn. Okay. However, a company is different to a person's profile. As I was mentioning earlier, I log in with a username and password. Okay, so it's my email address and password, and that logs me in as Matthew Graves. Company pages do not have a username and password. Okay, a person is given admin rights to manage this page. So this is a very important difference. I guess if you're not sure whether you've set up a profile or a company page for your brand, if you have to log in with a password, unfortunately it's a profile, and you're missing out on these additional features which I'm about to go through as well.
And just on that as well, just for everyone online, so just from Christina, when we say company page, that could be an organisation, so an association, not-for-profit, doesn't have to be a company, does it? It can be anyone.
No, absolutely right, Sarah. So LinkedIn has labelled this term company pages. Now, for those of you who are more familiar with Facebook, you understand that there's a Facebook profile and a Facebook page. Now, how I try and explain to my clients is that Facebook and LinkedIn are almost like cousins. The social networks are very, very similar in terms of structure. The only thing that really differs is the audience. Facebook is a very casual, gossipy kind of audience. LinkedIn is a very professional, career-focused audience. But at the end of the day, yes, the difference between a profile and a page is that a company page will represent maybe a place, maybe even a public figure or company, brand, or organization, any of the above. All right, so there are two main benefits of having a company page. You can follow the company activity. We get a bit of insights as to how many people have looked and seen the page. We also get some insights from how many people are actually clicking through on our content. Now, this isn't something that we can see through posts on a profile. Only a company page can tell us out of the 800 people that have seen this post, 20% have clicked through. Okay, and it gives us an indication on how valuable our content is to our audience. Okay, so you can start tracking, oh, well, they liked the post where I was talking about my free offer or free this or maybe a little bit of humor. They weren't too interested to, click on, maybe the white paper that I posted or the government update or something like that. So looking at these statistics and insights help you understand what's working for your marketing campaign using the company page and what to identify the direction to continue on into the future. Okay, so let's jump back to our profile page. Just for convenience, from here we type in the search bar the name of our company, which in this case is Perspective Promotions. Okay, and we've clicked the little company tab on the side. All right, and we see our list of companies. Now, you don't have to search for the company name. You might search for an industry. You might search for a location. You just might want to see all the companies or most popular companies in Sydney, and might just want to see what's trending, see what's going well. Okay, LinkedIn can be used in a range of different ways. So we've clicked on Perspective Promotions, and this is what we'll see. Now, this is a screenshot about 6 months ago, but this is the kind of content and structure in the company page. All right. Number one. Now, these are a few tips for having a positive impact in terms of brand marketing. Okay, we're using a company page to market the brand, to expose the values of the brand and different ideas behind the services and concepts of what we stand for. So yes, that's a lot of information, but the easiest way to do this is visually. Number one, make sure you've got an attractive profile photo. You've got a room for a header image as well. I've just used the same image twice, but it has to be appealing. It has to say, hey, look at me, check this out. Get some attention. It's what it's all about. We're using this to expose our brand, expose our message, expose our ideas. Okay, so by doing this, I'm trying to create attention through bright colors, through attractive images. As an internet marketing agency, I want to show people the value of using social media as a marketing tool. So these are the kind of ideas behind my logo and my brand, and I'm taking this to LinkedIn. All right. On a bit of a side note, which I think Sarah, you'll find this really interesting. It is absolutely essential in an internet marketing campaign to have consistency across all your messages. Make sure that whatever your profile photo for LinkedIn in terms of your company is the same on Facebook. Make it the same on Twitter. Make it the same on Google. Make sure there's consistency. Now, some people have asked me, do I post the same thing to LinkedIn as I do with Twitter and Facebook? I guess that I find this a really interesting question, rather because by a textbook definition, you shouldn't. By a textbook definition, you should be having a look at your audience and saying, okay, my LinkedIn audience is a professional audience. I'm going to post things suitable for that context. Facebook is more of a casual audience. I'm going to post things in more of a casual, gossipy context. But when we have a look at reality of the results we get from this kind of approach, we see that when people are looking at our Facebook page, that they're getting one message. And then during business hours, the same person starts to browse our LinkedIn profile and receives a completely different message as to who we are and what we're offering to our audience. Now, this generates inconsistency and dissonance in the mind of our audience. Very bad. What we want to do is make sure that no matter where people go, whether it's our website, our email newsletters, any of our social network profiles, we want to make sure that we're sending the same message and that people can trust us. People know that we're reliable because through one channel, the message through one channel is consistent across the board. And for more of the extensive marketing campaigns, this is also carried on into more traditional forms of advertising and marketing, such as radio or print flyers and billboards and things like that. I guess a good example would be a company like Telstra or Virgin or Vodafone. You'll see that across all their marketing messages, they're consistently sending the same message. For example, Telstra, it's how we connect. You know, we're connecting people. No matter if you go on their LinkedIn, their profile, the Facebook profile, Twitter, or any of their print campaigns, you know what they provide. They provide telecommunication services and communication services. And this is what helps us expose our message to our audience and also attract attention and, most importantly, engagement from our audience as well. Okay? Does that make sense, Sarah?
It
Great.
does. I just want to go back to Patrick's question, which he asked a little while ago regarding this, and he's been quite patient. So in terms of posting content as a business, is there a general ratio to use in terms of posted information compared to brand advertising? So 3 posts of information to 1 post of advertising, for example. What would you recommend? So you're not considered a spammer, or you don't want people to go away from your group or your page?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Patrick. So I get this a lot. And I'm going to be a bit difficult. Unfortunately, what I can see, you're trying to look for a formula. You're trying to look for a process where if I can tick A, B, and C, success is going to come. Now, sadly, and I even feel disappointed myself as I say this, unfortunately, this doesn't exist. The reason why is because every audience is different. Let's go back to those 2 brands I mentioned before. Let's have a look at Virgin and Telstra. Now, who Telstra targets for their audience is very different to who Virgin targets, and let's just focus on the communication side. So Telstra will mainly be focusing on corporates, professionals, high-end business people, that they want those heavy contracts, where Virgin is all about the numbers. They're more on the casual approach, that they want the teenagers that are accidentally going to hit their cap and go over and have to pay an extra $200 or $300. Unfortunately, I think we've all been there, but it comes down to your audience. Now, there's two main tips of advice I can help to guide you in terms of finding a suitable response. I guess number 1 is have a look at what your competitors or similar people in similar industries are doing, and try and have a look to see what's working, what's getting a really positive response, what's getting people engaged. Okay, use this as a bit of general and casual market research to try and judge what can I do to get the best possible response. Now, you might have a look and you might see great responses, but there might be something you could do better, which is why the second part of my answer is coming back to the statistics and analytics side of the company page. If you can start to track what kind of results you're getting through your internet marketing campaign over a longer period of time, you might decide that for the next 2 weeks we're going to do 2 posts a day. Okay, and for the following 2 weeks, you might do 3 posts a day. You might try morning posts, you might do evening posts, or all kinds of different things. If you then have a look at the numbers, you can have a look to see what kind of marketing strategy gets the best response from my audience. Okay, so I really hope that helps to just be a little bit more simple. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 2 posts a day. I find that for my brand, which is a social media agency, even doing 3 posts a day can be a little bit intensive for my audience. And at the same time, that could change. I mean, the audience changes over time, so I'm constantly analyzing and having a look to see what gets the best response? How can I engage people? How can I impress them with my knowledge without coming across like I'm trying to drown them in all these links and tags and different techniques? I'm just trying to genuinely present the information in a casual manner that's receptive from my audience. So I guess try and just do maybe 2 posts a day, 1 or 2 posts, and have I would start with an even balance between one category that I would label entertainment and humor, and another category that I would label more professional or promotional kind of content. At the end of the day, it really does depend on what kind of industry you're working in. For some of my clients who are in the finance, law, or accounting industries, it is pretty much 95% professional content and maybe 5% humor. For other clients who might be personal trainers or work in hospitality and cafes, pubs and clubs and things like that, it's almost 100% humor, you know, or 98% entertainment, humor, and 2% specials and offers, you know, something like that. And the way I got those kinds of ratios is just by trial and error. You know, with all my campaigns, I'll start with, you know, 50-50 or 60-40 kind of balance weighted either way, and we'll slowly tweak that and change that to see, well, what do people need to see on their screens to get that traffic, to get that click, to get their interest, and continue to expose our brand and our message to them through our website and things like that. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but I think that's a very detailed response. How's that? So moving on, we can start to see, having a look at the kind of content that I've got on my page here. We've got a few different links. Some of them are purely on social media strategy. Some of them are going back to my website. Some of them are just general information and have nothing to do with marketing or internet at all. It might just be finance or government change or update. I tend to take the approach of I'm using LinkedIn to express what's important to me and the business. So for me, I know that different things in technology, in marketing, internet changes, different laws and things like that, that's all vitally important for me in my industry. So that's the kind of content that I'll be posting up on my LinkedIn page and other social media profiles for that matter as well. Cool, so let's move on a little bit. Now, the next section we're going to talk about is engaging and interacting with our audience. So posts, okay, posts and updates, this term is interchangeable. This next part is the essential part of LinkedIn. A lot of people might think, yes, I already know how to post. Yes, I know a like, I know a comment, I know a share. But while we go through the process of this act, I'm going to highlight a few different features of LinkedIn and what makes it special. And I'm also going to identify how you can be using this in more of a marketing sense, okay, both for individuals and businesses as well. So let's jump over to our home screen. Here we have our home screen, a bit of a news feed. We've got a little picture of Wally there. He's gone quite well. There we are. 1 second. And what we've got is it's a little box here allowing us to post and do a few updates. All right. Now I just have to fix my screen a bit because it's jumped around. There we go. All right, so we've got a little box here, type a post. For most of you, you're quite aware, yes, this is how we do a post. Now, a few different things. This is where we put the information. If you put links directly into this box as well, LinkedIn will generate a bit of a snapshot, okay, and show people when they click on this link, what are they expecting to see, what information they're likely to get, and a benefit of doing this means that it looks a little bit more attractive as well. So in terms of an approach that gets people engaged, gets people to interact with your posts, it has to be attractive. please do not type in caps. I cannot stand it when beginners are typing and they type all in caps because they think they have something important to say. When I read caps, I hear screaming. So please don't scream your messages, just type it normally, and then post a little bit of a link. You can attach an image and things to spice it up. You'll also find that it starts to take up a little bit more space on your screen as well. So really tap into different features that allow you to grab your audience's attention, take notice, get them to take notice of what you're trying to say, and action whatever you're trying, or wherever you're trying to direct them as well. So moving on, we've done just a generic post. Hi guys, here's a sample LinkedIn post is what I'm about to type, but here's a little feature known as tags. So you'll notice sometimes when you're typing, you might be typing a person's name, you might be typing a company, and you'll see this little drop box. Now what this does, this is asking me, hang on, Matt, you've typed a familiar term. Yeah, this little box here, thanks Sarah. You've typed a familiar term. Are you talking about any of these? Okay, so I've gone ahead and clicked that LinkedIn box, and I want to show you what this does because this is a cool little trick. So just moving on, this is the rest of the post, the sample LinkedIn post. Now we can see that LinkedIn is actually highlighted grey, just up the top there in the little box. So if I go ahead and click share, I've just sent that message out to Wally's audience. So let's take a look. All right, and now it's been shared. If we have a look, see there's the post, very standard. We can see LinkedIn has actually come up in blue, meaning that it is a link. It's going to take us somewhere, but we'll come back to that. Just some simple stuff. So we've got a like button, a comment button, and a share button. Let's take a look. So we click like, and you like the post. Click comment, allows you to type a comment. Fairly basic. Very important tip. I really want to stress, never like your own posts. It looks really, really bad. I mean, you've just posted something to share with your audience, and of course you like it. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't have posted it. So, this is one of those little basic errors that I think a lot of people, it causes people to feel afraid of LinkedIn because they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to do anything wrong. So this is one of those really simple basic tips that can't do too much harm, but just show people that that you haven't been using it for too long. Maybe just like liking things, so you like your own post. Try not to do it. We've also just got a sample comment. Now if I came along and clicked share on someone else's post, that would then post it out to my audience and all my connections as well. So this is a great tool to show people who you're connected with. It's a great tool to share information and share ideas and common interests as well. Okay, so just on that note, let's talk about a little sneaky strategy. I know we're a bit tight for time, but a quick little tip for getting some attention from people in your audience. If you might be in a situation where you've sent out a proposal, you've done a follow-up phone call or two, left a voice message, and you haven't got a reply to any of your 3 emails, and you're thinking, well, I know this person's interested, but I can't get hold of them. I think I've called enough, but what do I do? Now, LinkedIn is the next communication channel. This allows you to remind any of your leads or proposals that you still exist. Hey guys, don't forget about me. I'm still here, and I know that you haven't replied to any of my emails, so I'm just going to like your post, because they'll then get a notification saying, Matthew Graves has liked your post. This will remind them, oh, Matt, I've got to get back to him, and sometimes I even get a call within 24 hours just because I've gone on and interacted with them in some way. Most people get an email notification to say that Matthew Graves has interacted with you online. They might log in and see a little red flag and notice, oh, yeah, I've got to get back to him. Now, you can do this in a range of different ways. You can like, you can comment, you can share. This will all have the same effect, but most importantly, the same thing happens is if you view someone's profile. So if I've gone and put out a few proposals or things like that, I might go and just search them up on LinkedIn and just click on their profile. I might not even read any of it, really. I may have even done it with some of you, but I have then reminded them through simply just loading their profile, reminding them that I exist, that I'm looking at them, that I'm thinking about them, I'm wondering why they haven't got back to me yet, and this is a really subtle way to just stay engaged. You're not communicating with them directly, but you're exposing yourself. You're engaging with them in one way or another. Alrighty, so to continue on engagement, we've just got the confirmation of the little comment there. Now let's jump over to a very important feature, the delete button. If you have made a mistake, I don't know if you've ever done this before, Sarah, but if you accidentally make a typo, if you read something and think, oh, I didn't really want to post that, you won't see it straight away. What you'll have to do is hover your mouse over the post, and this will help you see this little button. So I'm just looking for this here. So if I put my mouse around here, I'll see a little delete, in the top right hand corner. That'll allow me to go and delete my post. Now once you've deleted it, it's gone. You can't get it back. You can't change your mind again, but that's where it is. Alrighty, so moving on, let's go back to that tag we spoke about. Okay, so what happens when we click that LinkedIn tag we did before? That's going to take us to the LinkedIn company page. Okay, so let's go over to Rob's question from before. Rob said he'd like some tips on sending messages to all his contacts regarding events. What's the best way to do this and create some interest? So he could do a post on LinkedIn with a link to his event site. He might have a company page for his business or for his event even. Okay, so for people who have company pages, I get a lot of clients and they ask me, so how do I get my 200 connections onto my company page? And the answer is you can't. They're your personal connections. If they want to follow your company, they have to follow your company. So what you have to do is simply tell them that the company page exists. You might do a post, you might send an email newsletter, and anything like that. But using this feature allows you to tag your company and create a direct link that makes it easy for people to find the page, to talk about your page, and different things like that. For example, someone today after this webinar might decide to tag the Redback group or tag the Perspective Promotions company page just to say who they've listened to or who they've been involved with. So knowing this kind of thing can show your audience who you're interacting with and can also share information with your audience as well. So just finally, let's have a look at some of the content that LinkedIn is talking about. This is great. Of course, their profile is perfect because they designed the thing, but it's very appealing. It's very attractive. It's got all kinds of trending articles and comments and things like that. So this is the ideal kind of profile. I mean, I would love something like 130 likes on any of my posts. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. I'm not that popular yet. But I guess patience and persistence is the best way to get there. So thanks for listening, and that's the presentation.
Great. I think what we're going to do, we're going to be going to some questions now, but for those of you who do need to leave, that's totally understandable. I'd personally just like to thank you all for joining and for listening to us today. But we do ask that on your way out, if you can complete the exit survey. And to do that, you just need to click on the top right-hand corner, that blue X. But for those of you who would like to stay and join us and be part of the Q&A session for the next 5 minutes, there's a link there that goes directly to the exit survey, so you can complete that while you're possibly listening to us at the same time. So killing two birds with one stone. But let's just go back to some of the questions that were asked. So if we go back here, we're talking about the aspect of creating a URL to set up a company page, and that's from Christina. So when you set up a company page, you can select your own URL, I'm assuming, if it hasn't been taken.
Unfortunately not that I'm aware of. I know you can in Facebook. However, I've never seen this feature in LinkedIn before. I'm really hesitating to say it doesn't exist, but as far as I'm aware, I haven't seen personalized URL for LinkedIn company pages. That's something that's really only used in Facebook and Twitter, and the other two social networks that I use, with Google and LinkedIn. No, I haven't actually found a way to personalize the URL, which is a very difficult feature. I mean, it makes it so much easier to be able to personalize this from an SEO point of view. But let me do some research, because it should have happened already. Sorry, I can't be of any more help. But yeah, so what other questions have we got here? Let's have a
So
look.
we're going back to Carmen, and her and Kurt have had some dialogue around this. So Carmen says she shares a quote once a week. So is this okay or too excessive? And then we've got Kurt saying how he thinks that, you know, quotes are a little bit, you know, they should be there's something that's coming from you personally as opposed to your company or your brand. So what are your thoughts on sharing quotes?
Yeah, so both comments are great. Again, I'm going to come back with a response. It depends on your audience. So for me, I'm not going to post any quotes. For me, quotes can't add any. Quotes won't have a positive influence on the brand perspective promotions and what it stands for. On the other hand, if I was say a business coach, advisor, consultant, something like that would give me an opportunity to put some quotes up and give people inspiration, maybe from a emotional side, from a business side, or things like that. In terms of frequency, once a week is by far not too frequent at all. I think that maybe a quote every day might be too consistent, or too frequent rather. But I would recommend to try and break it up. People don't want to see a profile or see a quote every time they see the same profile. They like a little bit of different kinds of content. So yes, quotes might be fine as long as it's relevant to your audience and industry, but be sure to also provide links to other articles. Maybe tell them where you got the quote. That kind of thing is more common on Facebook and Twitter, more the casual social networks. Based on my experience, a lot of people that are using LinkedIn are really looking for advice and links and news and updates and different things like that. Very rarely will I see someone talking about their weekend on LinkedIn, or just trying to give some positive encouragement. That kind of detaches from the context of the social network, but you're fine in doing it once a week. Two, three times I think would be fine. But at the same time, maybe ask some of your friends, see what they think. They're the ones in your audience. They're the ones you should be asking. But yes, I think daily posts are fairly common on LinkedIn. I don't see a problem in that. But I'm the younger generation anyway, so I tend to do that a lot. So what else do we have here? Kurt said he found them annoying. Yeah, see, so that comes down to the audience again. So it really depends. I mean, just make sure that whatever you're posting is suitable, really. That's the best advice I can give, don't you think, Sarah?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, cool.
So just also on that, and this is from, here we go, here from Alta. Is all the information included in an individual's profile accessible to everyone who is on LinkedIn, even if they are not a direct contact? So can you privatize your...
Okay, so the privacy settings in LinkedIn aren't as detailed as something like Facebook, although yes, you can privatize. Keep in mind that this will make it more difficult for people to find you. Maybe that's something you want, but you can elect not to show, for example, your full name. So if someone's trying to connect with me and I've enabled that function, they might search for Matthew Graves and I'll come up as a result as Matthew G. They've got no idea who I am. They won't see my profile picture, and as far as they're concerned, it's just a lucky guess if they go ahead and connect. Although, if for example, if you're going on LinkedIn for recruitment purposes and you want to be found, this can make it difficult for people who have paid profiles to be able to access that kind of information. So just quickly, yes, there are two types of profiles. There is a free version of LinkedIn, there is a paid version of LinkedIn. The paid version gives you additional access to more of the data that you've entered into your LinkedIn profile. At the end of the day, if you don't want people to see it, don't put it on there. That is just a general rule for any social network. If it shouldn't be seen, it shouldn't be on there. So yeah.
We've got some other discussions, and we've just run out of time, but we do have some discussions around, George is talking about forums as well, which are an excellent way to share and communicate. Tony's asked, from what page do you set up a company page? And I'm just going to post that link in there, Tony, for you. It's add a company page. And we've also got a lot of information. People have posted some other links directly to LinkedIn that should help you all. But personally, I'd just like to thank Matthew for sharing his time and insights today. And hopefully you do get something, even one or two things that you can take back and apply to your LinkedIn strategy. It is quite an important social media tool, professionally or personally, but I guess a lot of it is just working out what's right for you, isn't it? So thank you all for joining. We're now going to close down the webinar, but if you would like any further information about Redback Conferencing or Perspective Promotions, please feel free to send us an email. We will be sending out a recording of the webinar within 48 hours, and that will contain the slides as well as some other useful links that we posted in the chat box today. So thank you once again, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.